Welcome back, everyone. Don't forget that you can let us know what your views are on some of the issues we're discussing tonight on the program. So how you can do it, tweet us. These handles are there, and the email address is also there for you. Let's get back to the conversation now. Let's talk about the economic impact of the coronavirus in Nigeria. And we also look at a post-COVID era. What does this mean for Nigeria? Are we ready? What Nigeria should be doing to ensure the impact is not devastating? I'm being joined tonight by an economist, Professor Frank Ozo. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Professor, for your time tonight on the program. Let's begin by first assessing the palliatives and the distribution of the palliatives for Nigerians in this lockdown period, especially in states like Ogun, Lagos, and of course the FCT. What is the assessments of it?
Thank you, Shehu, for having me. First of all, I have to say that I think I have problem with the audio, and it's not loud enough. I cannot hear. I've told them, signal them to maybe increase the audio so that I can hear you properly.
So let me take it again. The question is your assessment of the disbursement and distribution of the palliatives from the federal government of Nigeria. How would you assess it, especially from the states that are on the total lockdown? Lagos, Abuja, and Ogun State.
Thank you, Mr. Shehu. Sincerely speaking, any economist that looked into the distribution pattern knows that it's completely flawed. It is completely flawed. They have no known criterion for the distribution. And when you didn't plan the distribution, you just, distribute the way you think. That is by existentialism. As you go, you think out something, you distribute in accordance to that, the way you think. I think it becomes very problematic. But there are known channels of dealing with the people that we know. Even though some people have suggested, why not go from, in case of cash, BVM, and in case of commodities, I think the proper way an economist will do distribution is every distribution pattern is there in our theories of distribution, and the distribution pattern that is commonly known and every person in economics that is known is how do you distribute some goods you have so that, one, between two groups, let us say, the rich class and the poor people. So in which way would you distribute that the poor masses will be better off, and then the rich people will not be worse off? That's first and foremost thing that we are looking at. How do I distribute this quantum of goods I have in such a way that the poor masses' welfare will be well served, in the way that the welfare of the rich men will not be adversely impacted? So how do we do that? And when you look at it, in theory, it is called the Pareto Optimum. Now, what is the efficiency line, distribution line that you stay, that joins these two groups together? And what comes to my mind, the minister who spoke before was going through there, but actually didn't want to use it. You just, for perfunctory reasons, they mention it. But when you come into using it, they fail to use it. Now, the efficiency locus of distribution, where the poor people and the rich people will join, is what we call the low sale of combinations of those goods you are distributing between, say, a group A, the rich man, and the group B, the poor man. So how do you distribute? Staying on that efficiency locus so that the poor masses are, better off, whereas the rich people are not worse off. So how do we do it? To stay on the efficiency locus, you start from, say, okay, we discussed of the FCT. I've listened to the FCT minister. Then you state the FCT itself. Then you go down to the local governments. After the local governments, you go down to the wards, and then you go down to the PUs. Now we have voter register. we have voter register.
Yeah.
Then this voter register, you can see that in the poor areas, the poor masses are registered in that area. Now, in Maitama, in FCT, in Asokoro, and in Wuse and all the rest of the areas that rich people stay, then you know definitely that in which way would you distribute, not that you have actually be distributing equal to all these areas. Now, the area that you know that are endowed with the poor masses, like you talk of Kubwa, Nyanya, Zuba, and the rest of them, you know the people who registered in, who you have in that voter register are poor masses. Therefore, you concentrate there, and we have something we can borrow from INEC and use in identifying and making sure that whoever comes with his voter's card, you slot it into identification system, and it's why maintaining the social distance and all the rest of them. It can take some days and weeks in the PU. You finish an exercise while maintaining the social distancing protocol, and these things will be done easily, so that you know the number of people within a PU. They are identified. You can identify them from their leaders in the community, the town union, all the leaders in the community, the traditional rulers and others. They know them, so every person knows who is within that PU. So if we take the voter register, for instance, and then distribute these things, we know the areas the poor masses are living. We know the areas the rich men are living. Then there are some poor people who are living with the rich men. Then the things you take there, of course, you know, most rich men won't come out in Maitama to come and take that palliative. Who will take it? The poor man within their midst. So that those poor people within their midst will be actually protected, and they will have their own ration. But when you go to the poor area, you go the full blast of the voter register. You see it now. Every person who has to collect has a voter register.
All right,
And
Prof.
If you're not identified, as you do voter accreditation,
Okay. I mean, there is perhaps another area which I know that, yeah, you have some interesting and you have written and spoken about, and is about the post-COVID era in Nigeria. Should this period go, by God's grace, it will. How do you think we can cope? The world is entering into recession, obviously. For Nigeria, what should we be looking at, and what should we be doing?
Please, could you repeat? I'm not hearing you. I have a problem with this.
I'm saying in the post-COVID era, after this COVID-19 should have gone, of course, economy world over is being impacted. For Nigeria, what should we be looking at, and what should we be doing urgently?
Now, let me tell you sincerely speaking. If you look at what I use in analyzing this issue is what I refer as N curve. The N curve will show you how the infection rate is going. In this period of infection rate, that is the first phase, you check whether or not you have attained the apex. Before you attain the apex, if the number is increasing at an acceleration rate, then your curve, that curve will be steep in rising. Now, not until you reach the apex, the only thing you do in this area now we are talking about before you reach the apex will be to mind this distribution of palliatives. Now, which I think could be done weekly. You don't need to do once while you live, because the quantum of food you are sharing will not take care of the people for 2 weeks, not even for days, with the size of the family. So what do we do here? What we do, we maintain this sharing as weekly or fortnightly. Now, as we reach the apex, then you can consider how to open up the economy. What are the strategies you will use to open up your economy? Then you start considering them. Another thing you look at is that if you have some effort, you can make seriously to decline that N curve. It's just like an English alphabet, the small letter N. Now, as you reach the upper level of N, as you are writing your N, then at that point, you see fairly that you can maintain it, fairly constant. Before if you take more effort again, that the infection rate will start declining. Now, there are two ways it can decline. It is that it declines with acceleration or it declines with deceleration.
All right, Prof.
In which case, the latter one is flatter. Yes?
Yeah, yeah. I'm very sure by God's grace we'll flatten the curve and get over it. But I sincerely thank you for your thought tonight, Professor Frank Ozo, an economist. Thank you so much for your thought tonight on the program.
Thank you very much, Shehu.
Well, that's our show for tonight. But before we go, Nigeria's coronavirus confirmed cases have crossed the 500 mark, and the deaths are now in the double digits, 19 so far. But one figure most people may not be looking at is the rate of recovery and the number of people who have been discharged so far, 166 of them, and that is over 30%. My point is that there is hope that the coronavirus is not a death sentence and we all can get through this tough time. To inspire you tonight, everyone, we put together short stories of some of those who were referred tonight as the champions of the coronavirus disease. Take a listen to some of their stories.
The importance of family and people around you. The messages I got, the prayers I got were overwhelming. They were amazing, and that only helped in giving me some psychological stability.
On my way coming in, I met someone that used to do something for me on my way. So I told him, look here, I've always been telling you this thing is real. Can you believe I've just been discharged this and that? And she had to run away.
So there you have it. We can stay safe, but in the midst of the battle, we can beat it and we can overcome, and we shall win. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. Enjoy the rest of your